Thank you to TiE for the wonderful partnership opportunity with this event. I actually add a few notes that my friend Nogatal, who manages our female founder initiative, she asked me to say. But if you allow me, this is a small room, I'm just going to speak from the heart. I had the opportunity to join Microsoft, as you can guess from my strange accent. I'm from Portugal, as well as my wife, who's sitting over there, my wonderful wife, way more wonderful than I am. I had the chance to join Microsoft about 10 years ago. And at the time, if some of you in the room might remember, we had something called a project called Red Dog. It was a very special project, a very small project at the time, which basically became probably the most ambitious project that the company ever had. And we're talking about the 117,000 people company. And it's what gave place to Azure, which now, as you probably all know, it's probably the most ambitious, probably the biggest project across Microsoft. And if you look into the books that we've had the opportunity to bring, the Hit Refresh book from Satya Nadella, it actually says a lot into what that transformation brought to the company. We had the ambition to build something that is the most powerful platform that anyone who has an idea can build on top of. And as someone way smarter than I am, Spider-Man used to say, with great power comes great responsibility. So one of the things we've been focusing on is making sure that everyone, not just big corporations, everyone who wants to have a wonderful idea, an idea that's capable of changing the world, can build using that platform. So I work on the Microsoft for Startups group, and our mission is to make sure that anyone across the world can build with that platform by accessing our technologies for free, by getting support from our team. And if we are not doing a good enough job on that, if we are not helping those startups to grow, let us know. We are screwing up. For the last few months, we've been working on something called, the new program called Microsoft for Startups, which basically came to us as a question, which was, are we really doing the right thing for startups? Or is it just about for us to providing them with free stuff? Free access to credits, free access to Azure, free access to money, whatever that might be. And we've been asking ourselves, what makes sense for startups around the world for us to support them with, not just with our platform? So we built this new program that's all around, not just giving people access to cloud credits, but also how can we use everything we have as a company, everything we are, our partners, our customers, and everything we have around the world as Microsoft contacts to make sure that anyone can use that as a platform to augment their business. And this was not just coming out of some big heads in Redmond that thought, what is actually right for startups? We actually asked the startups around the world, what makes sense for you? How can we, as a company, help you to grow? And I see a lot of people around here that have started. I hope that we're doing a good enough job with you guys also on that, helping you guys to grow and some other people in the room. We are trying to reinvent everything we are as a company, not just on the technical part of it, like with platforms like Azure and Office and all of that, but also with our sales engines, making sure that people all across the world can tap into that. And if I am a small company from anywhere, from my small home country, from Portugal, from Lisbon, and I want to access the big banks in the US or in India or anywhere around the world, it is our responsibility as a company to rethink what do we do to help that startup to be able to do that. So that's the genesis behind the programs that we've been working on, which is much more than just think how we give people access to free stuff. And as part of that, just to finish quickly, one of the things we've been trying to think is there is a responsibility to that, which is even more broader than just giving people access to this and access to our sales force. How do we make sure that anyone, whoever you are, wherever you are able to participate in this program? So the Female Founders Initiative, which is run by my good friend and far, far brighter friend, Nogatal from Israel, and that's why she cannot be here today. It's actually based on that principle. How do we make sure that we build these programs and that we have a set of initiatives from the ground up to help startups who are founded by female, who are founded by women all around the world, access these platforms, access these programs? Because we do know that there is a lot of work we need to do as a company and with all these programs to support this kind of ecosystem. So once again, if you have any startups that want to participate in this program, if you have any partnership opportunity that you want to work with us on the Female Founder Initiative or overall with Microsoft for Startups, but specifically on the Female Founder Initiative, because they are the ones sponsoring the event today, send us an email, msft@microsoft.com, or to be much simpler, send me an email, miguelv@microsoft.com. Once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. I'm honored with the opportunity to be a partner at this event. Microsoft is honored to be here with you guys today. And so if there's anything else we should be doing to support you or your startups to grow, please let us know. We will do better, or at least we're going to try. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
So first of all, I want to thank Sharmili and team for putting up this event and for inviting us to be here. And just to set the stage, normally when I have fireside chats with women or I'm on panel with them, the discussion is around the challenges that women face in corporate environment, climbing up the corporate ladder, the glass ceilings, da-da. But the good news here is that the panelists share my personality. We are eternal optimists. We look for opportunities and not challenges. Because as you know, whatever you focus on, you see more of. And for the ones that are focused on challenges, they get overwhelmed with challenges. Well, we wouldn't be where we are if we were overwhelmed with challenges. So today's conversation is going to be around opportunities. The leadership capabilities that my panelists display are truly phenomenal. And the thing that I'd like all of you to remember is a leader and it's gender blind. I don't know why the world makes such a big deal out of women leadership and men leadership. We're all leaders, and it's a behavior. It's not even a title. So, thank you.
I think the best way to think about my career is that I very much am a Jill of all trades. So, and I attribute that to having grown up in a military family where we would move every 2 years. There was a period of my life where we would move every 9 months. And so it meant that, very early on, I needed to get used to going into completely new situations, making new friends, figuring out what the school was like, how I was going to succeed. And I think it was very forming for me. And I had to put myself through school, through college, which I think was another really good challenge. I went to a small Catholic school down in San Diego called University of San Diego. And I decided that I needed a job, an actual job out of college that I could earn money with. And so I decided to pursue accounting. And so I'm actually a CPA by background. But in true Jill of all trade form, I've had many, many different positions over my career. And some of the first things I did very early on, once I did the public accounting, I did a couple of private companies. I actually started my own CPA practice. I started actually a business with my husband, so I got a little bit of the entrepreneurial bug there. I also figured out that there was a lot I didn't know, and so I went back into industry. I've been at Microsoft for about almost 19 years. I know, right? And during that time, I've had 9 different roles across 3 different disciplines. So I started in finance. I spent a few years, I was actually very, very lucky to be able to join the Microsoft Azure team when it first formed about 10 years ago and helped bring it to market. And then after about 3 years of that, we actually formed an Azure-related biz dev team. And so I've actually been in business development for about the last 7 years. And so I think that is really what sets me apart, is that I've done many, many different things, both in small companies as well as large companies. And even though I'm in that large company, I love Microsoft to death, I still have a little bit of that entrepreneurial bug in me.
And so when I finished HBS, happened to be the year of 2009, where about 30% of my class, when we graduated, did not have job offers. So that was not a very easy year to go and do something kind of risky and so forth. But I was lucky enough to land a job at Intel and later on at Intel Capital. So that got me a flavor for a fast-paced technology company. Some would argue semiconductors is not fast-paced, but for me, coming from aerospace, it felt quite fast-paced. And while at Intel, I spent 2 years at Intel Capital doing initially consumer internet investments and later specialized into software as a service and security investments in particular, realized I need to go get some operating experience and took a chance as one of the first 25 employees on a company called Cloudflare in San Francisco, a company that had no revenue and 25 employees. I was kind of the first business hire after the founders. First day I was folding t-shirts and kind of until 10 p.m. in preparation for a conference. I thought that's the best thing ever that I could apply my HBS degree to. And so, long story short, I had 5 a little bit over 5 phenomenal years building this company that turned out to be a rocket ship. So I was on the executive team. We took the revenue from 0 to over 100 million. It's a pre-IPO company. When I left, it was over 550 employees in 13 offices with 6 million customers around the world. So it is a web performance and security company that makes websites faster and safer. And it had a special a special meaning to me because it also enabled free speech, like we protected journalists keeping their sites online in Sudan and various, Eastern Europe. And so it had a very special meaning to me beyond just growing an incredible company. And then, I always kept this passion for investing and touching multiple different companies. So for both personal and professional reasons, when the Madrona Ventures opportunity emerged 2 years ago, I jumped on it and I was very thrilled. I had gotten to know Seattle through my wonderful husband, who's sitting over there, over the period of 6 years. And, when I had an opportunity to come here, I jumped on it, and it's been phenomenal.
I'm also a mom. In fact, that's my superpower, being a mom. So my degrees are in computer science and mathematics. I started as a computer programmer, and I was a decent programmer, but I wasn't the one that was being given the awards and talked about in general managers' meetings, and I have this innate desire to be that person, And so from programming, I went into what used to be called systems engineering in my days. Now we call them technical consultants. And I quickly recognized that working with people is also my superpower. Earning their trust, their confidence, understanding them. I could understand people, not just what they say, but what they don't say. And that's kind of hard to explain, but as soon as I became a systems engineer in the very first year at IBM, they would have this big president's club, and I was the systems engineer rookie of the year. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, and I thought, okay, now I need to buy a house. I need more money. Where can I make more money? And I heard commissions. So I said, okay, I'm going to go give sales a try. I knew nothing about sales. My degrees are computer science and mathematics. But way back when, my ancestors came from a place in India called Gujarat. Now, Gujaratis, in their blood, know how to sell. Right? There's some Gujaratis here. And so I said, okay, I like this selling. There's commissions coming, and I know how to do this. So left behind my technical career, and for the next 20 or so years, it was sales and sales leadership. What I learned that I enjoyed more than even selling was making others successful. So I loved running large teams of salespeople. I've hired over 1,000 people in my career, ran billion-dollar businesses, global teams. Just loved it. But we lost our first deal, and I went to the guy and I said, I'd like to make a call on this client. And he started shitting in his pants. He says, second line manager, a woman of color. I mean, not that it matters, but all my first line managers were white men. The team was white men. And so they were not really sure how to deal with me. And I said, I need to talk to the client because I want to understand what could we have done differently. And so his manager comes to me and says, well, it's not Ryan's fault that we lost this. I said, I didn't say whose fault it is. I just want to learn, why did we lose this deal? What should we do differently? So they knew I was not going to back off. And so they finally said, okay, let's go. You can go with me. So we go talk to this client. And as I told you, one of my superpowers is understanding clients. So I talked to the client, and I figured out our approach, our go-to-market strategy was completely off. We had a whole bunch of services guys who knew how to deliver services, knew nothing about selling. They were so focused on mitigating risk that they'd much rather not win a deal than win a deal that had just like 2% risk?
When I was making the transition from Intel Capital into like a 20-person startup, I can't even tell you how many people, including my parents, they were like, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, you are taking a 40, 50, 60% pay cut. Like, what are you thinking? And so I happen to be very confident that this is a very functional founders team. I knew the founders, and I knew they're not going to go sue each other. I knew they're gonna not going to turn on each other. So like, it was kind of risk with a lot of due diligence that I had done. So to me, that's like finding your people and people you're going to learn from seems very important.
Try to find the best managers you can to work for, because what did somebody say to me yesterday? People join companies, but they leave managers, and that it's true no matter if you're talking with a tiny startup or if you're talking with a 100,000 person company. I also think no career is a straight shot. Or okay, maybe the one person, maybe the Bill Gates of the world or the Steve Jobs, but even they have their failures, yes. Right? Because we really do learn most from our failures as opposed to our successes. And so I think when you're making your decisions, especially if you have some things in your personal life that you have to take into account, you're having kids, you want to take a little bit of a step back. I think that there's no problem with that. I think the important thing is that as you choose your next role, have your role after that in mind, or after that, so that at least you know that role that you're taking, that there's something about it that's going to build out your skill set that's going to then help you get your next role. It doesn't have to be the role that's going to be your superstar role that's going to get you on that rocket ship, but it's still going to prepare you, and you will still feel like the time that you spent in that role is super productive.